Guitar Sessions, episode 89. Today, we're going to take a look at another essential scale. And I say essential, it's like a lot of people don't know this scale. Like a lot of rock and metal dudes, they don't know this scale. I remember seeing a video with Dave Navarro interviewing George Lynch, who was a hero of his. And he said, George Lynch says, if you asked me to play a major scale and put a gun to my head, I couldn't play it. So anyway, we're going to learn to play it. We're going to learn to use it. We're going to learn it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to learn its importance and all that kind of stuff. The power of the major scale, it'll be your best friend. Okay, so in my music and lots of people's music, everybody's music, we have three basic tonalities. We have major tonalities, we have minor tonalities, and we have bluesy dominant tonalities. So with that said, at least 1/3 of all the progressions that you get and you play with and you experiment with and you write songs with and all that kind of stuff is major key stuff, okay? The major scale is the mother scale of all major things. Major pentatonic, we can analyze the major pentatonic scale by how it's different than the major scale. We even analyze the natural minor scale and other weird scales like Mixolydian and all that kind of stuff, how they relate to the major scale. So the vanilla scale of all music is kind of the major scale. It's kind of like the vanilla. Like one time I was watching, it was one of these channels, and the guy, how it's made kind of channel, and he said, this is how we make ice cream and come up with new flavors. And they always start with a base of vanilla ice cream, and then they add things to it. That's what the major scale is to music. Okay, so what is the major scale? What is the major scale? The first thing we can do is there's a mathematic formula. It's whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So if I go whole, I'll say we'll start on a G note. We're going to do everything in G today. So whole step, half step, 2 whole steps, half step, 3 whole steps, followed by a half step. Now, if you notice that, first thing you can notice is that sounds like the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do kind of stuff that we learned when we were kids. That is the major scale. It's a scale that everybody knows. It's a scale that's in thousands of songs we all sing. Whether we like the song or not, it's a part of our culture. It's a happy birthday. It's the national anthem. It's all kinds of things. So what we want to do is we want to take that scale and we want to treat it with the importance it deserves, and we're going to learn some facts about the major scale. I said the 10 fun facts. The major scale is the foundation of all Western music. Everything that we talk about, we start with the major scale and then we branch outwards. Okay, the major scale has 7 modes. None of that matters. You can't understand any of it unless you understand the major scale. So major scale is the beginnings of, like, once you start learning whole steps and half steps and what sharps and flats are, the next step is building major scales and talking about keys and being in a certain key. That's what the major scale is. So it's the foundation of Western music. Okay, it's also a tool to unravel the whole fingerboard. Okay, so we can make sense out of the whole fingerboard just by figuring out how to make use of the major scale and where the notes are and all that and what's in key and all that kind of stuff. It is the do, re, mi that I alluded to earlier. Is this the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So it is the major scale is, and I want to stress this enough, it is the thing that we really dig into when we start learning music theory. Okay, what you need to know in music theory is the numbering system. As far as chords go, you learn the numbering system, that is all major scale stuff. So, okay, so within the major scale, we have 7 separate notes. We also have 7 separate chords. So what chords are in key, what chords are not in key. That's what we learn when we're checking stuff out. So we build chords in major scales, and chords are built in thirds. Another lesson. So, but anyway, it unlocks the modes. The major scale itself is called the Ionian mode. Okay, so it sounds like. Anyway, and lastly, it is essential if you're wanting to learn how to improvise and to create on the fly and play with other people without having to rehearse 2 weeks. The major scale is essential because like more than 50% of the songs you're going to run into are major key songs. So with that said, it's a great tool for ear training. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So I had an ear training teacher at Berkeley. One of the things he taught us to do was do, re, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. And we would do these singing exercises that Bob Stoloff, he gave us every week and saying, I want you to memorize these. And when you're at the bus stop, you sing these things. You don't memorize them, so you don't have a piece of paper. You're not relying on a piece of paper for having to practice. You can practice these things anywhere. So once I did that and I was consistent with it, then I was able to write songs. I was able to come up with melodies, which I don't remember being able to do before. I don't remember being able to sing a melody over top a set of chord changes, which is what you need to do in order to be a songwriter. With that said, lastly, it is the source of infinite creativity, the major scale. If you practice it right, it is a source of infinite creativity. And I think ear training is a part of that. As I said, I have Bob Stoloff to thank for the fact that I can come up with melodies over top of chord changes. When you're writing songs, that's what you got to be able to do. All right? So next, we're going to talk about 6 ways in which we can put the scale into our playing. First thing we want to do is the most basic and most fundamental. Learn the fingering. Seriously, learn the fingering. I have students that are like, yeah, I worked on it, and then they fuddle their way through it. So we could start with 1 octave. Then it goes, we can make it into 2 octaves. Okay, and don't just play it in one area, you can learn it in a variety of different areas. Okay, this is what we do in the Guitar Collective. This is part of the thing that you want to be able to play in key, learn your major scales. All over the neck, you don't just want to be in 1 or 2 spots, you want to be able to play everywhere. All right, core fingerings, root position 1, root position 2, form 1, form 2. Form 1 is the E string rooted, form 2 is the A string rooted. Okay, that'll be in the description. The link to that PDF will be in the description. Okay, the next thing I want you to do is horizontal. We want to look at these scales horizontally. Say we're in the key of G major. What you can do is map out the notes that are in the key of G major. Okay? So it's also, while we're at it, what notes are in the key of G major? Until today, you've never thought about it, I'm betting. 1 sharp, F sharp. So it's going to be G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Memorize it. You're into this, you want to get good at this. These are things that need to be memorized and not something you have to go, some book you have to go to retain. G major is one sharp, okay, and then we map those notes out on all 6 strings. So what we can do with that is take that, and then we can play melodies up and down. And I've said this many times before, but I think it bears repeating. trying to come up with stuff that is singable. I'm not trying to skirt through a scale. That's the problem. That, okay, we learn the scale fingerings, but what we got to be able to do eventually is not just practice scales. And when we're improvising, we're not just playing scales. Okay, we want to create melodies, and it's what you can do is get a backing track and just play melodies. And if it's awkward at first, it's because it's understandable. Why shouldn't it be awkward if you never practiced it? All right, so you got to work through that. All right, so horizontally on all 6 strings, work that up. Okay, so we also work on vertical and horizontal, and it's like eventually we're just all over the place, and it's like it's there. So anyway, so horizontal and vertical. Okay, next thing we can do is we already in the essential scales lesson prior to this, it was the major pentatonic scale. We already learned about that. What we can do is practice our major pentatonic like we've already done. Okay, so something like, okay, and then find out what the notes are. That note and that note are added notes. So you play some pentatonic phrases and do play in phrases, okay, and then put some of those notes into the parallel major scale notes in there. So I'm coming up with all kinds of melodies that are building off of the pentatonics we worked on in a previous lesson. Okay, next thing we can do is explore the triads of the scale. Okay, the triads. Even if we're just working on the tonic, the G major triads. Imagine all the melody that can come from that. And then, but we don't have to stop there, obviously. So, but if I played lines that made use of, or say the tonic or the relative minor, which relative minor to G major is E minor, so we could throw those in there too. So, but just by putting these into our sounds like a melody. So that's putting the major scales in triads. Also, here's another thing. Most of our solos, we talk about solos being the base of solos is melody. Learn major key melodies like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, Ode to Joy. All these melodies that you learn. Theme from Star Wars I put in there. Okay, Happy Birthday. These are melodies we all grew up with. Learn it on your instrument. Learn it in key. Ear training it. I'm just doing it by ear. So check that stuff out. Check it out. Figure it out. And then that's putting melody into your major key melody into it. Lastly, make it fun. Make your practice routine fun. Okay, if it's not fun, you're not going to practice. If it's not fun, you're not learning. You're not learning properly. All right, you're not. This is all fun. This is all fun. Pick songs that you like that are in major keys. Brown Eyed Girl. Knocking on Heaven's Door. I'm trying to think of some stuff now that. Good Lovin' by the Grateful Dead. The Rascals. Lots of songs. Lots of songs. Tons of punk rock. Tons of pop. Anyway, this is Rod. Episode 89. Essential Scales, major scale. Check out the description for PDFs and all that kind of business. Appreciate you. Hope you're getting a lot out of this. If you have any questions, put them in the questions down below in the comments. So anyway, I'll see you next time, and we're going to do another scale, another essential scale for our next lesson. So stay tuned, and I'll see you then. Hi, this is Rod from Boomer Guitar Sessions. I personally wanted to thank you for being part of our community. If you like what we're doing here and you want to see more of it, please hit the like, subscribe, and share. And this helps me spread my musical messages to all over the world. Thank you. I appreciate you. And always remember, you can do this.